Good morning and welcome into First Take. Thank you so much for hanging with us. I hope everyone is hanging in there at home and that we can be a nice 2-hour distraction because we have plenty of news today in the sports world. Your guys, Stephen A. Smith, Max Kellerman.
Look who's sitting down fellas? Right now, Molly.
Mike Greenberg.
I am here. Good
morning.
The one and only.
Greenie, I only have one thing to say to you. No risk it, no biscuit.
Yeah.
I saw you this morning. Your face was priceless when she shared that with you, Bruce Arians' mantra.
He has a lot of expressions. Bruce Arians, I don't know how many wins they'll have this year. I think it'll be a lot. But it won't match the number of little colloquialisms that he seems to have for practically every situation. And candidly, I love it.
100%. In his job interview, apparently he said, I may be 66, but I'm 66 and sexy. I love it. Let's get right into it. Here's the latest news. Tampa is the expected landing spot for Tom Brady, according to our Adam Schefter and Jeff Darlington. The news comes after Brady said goodbye to the Patriots in a series of posts on Instagram Tuesday, ending his 20-year run there. When Bucs coach Bruce Arians was asked at the NFL Scouting Combine who the one quarterback was that he'd pick up the phone for if available, he said Tom Brady. Stephen A., what's your initial reaction to this news?
Well, I'm excited for Tom Brady. I'm excited for all of us because I think once the NFL season gets underway and we see the opportunity for Tom Brady to go against Drew Brees twice a year, Tom Brady to go against Matt Ryan twice a year, I think that's going to entertain us. If they're in the NFC conference, obviously, they're going to be going up against potentially an Aaron Rodgers. We'll see that matchup. We'll see him go up against Russell Wilson. We'll see him go up against Jimmy Garoppolo for all we may know. Of course, the Cowboys as well. So I love that. I also love the fact that Tom Brady's going to have some weapons. We can sit up there and talk about any slippage all he wants to, and I'm not going to deny that there may have been a touch. I'm certainly not going to go as far as others have gone in talking about the level of slippage that they've witnessed because I have been focused on him being bereft of the weapons necessary in order to succeed because I've never seen a quarterback successful throwing the football to themselves. And you got Mike Evans in Tampa. That's not going to be a problem. You got Godwin. You got O.J. Howard. All of these guys are in Tampa with Bruce Arians being a guy. Byron Leftwich, let's not forget his name. This is a guy that was a former quarterback, obviously at Marshall, former quarterback in the National Football League, an offensive coordinator in Tampa. If we're going to sit up here and say that Jameis Winston was not as awful as we all thought he was, and truth be told, he wasn't because he did throw for 5,000 yards, but this is a guy that threw 30 interceptions, which is why he was universally villainized to some degree. But in the end, he had a lot of potential. They had a lot of potential offensively. Byron Leftwich has a lot to do with that. The combination of Leftwich along with Bruce Arians, you've got Tom Brady there, not turning the football over, running your offense, ensuring that at the very least you're not going to beat yourself. I think it elevates Tampa's chances exponentially to at least make the playoffs and potentially have some degree of success in the playoffs. So I do like it for him.
Tampa has an embarrassment of riches in terms of weapons on offense. And this was a very smart and, for me, unexpected move from Brady. Not that he's not smart, but the Chargers also have weapons in L.A., and I just assumed that he would want to go to L.A., and the Chargers brand has always been weak compared to the Rams and the Raiders, and Brady could kind of set that, kind of ignite their brand and also set himself up with TB12 and all that stuff. He made the wise choice. He picked the spot where he's more likely to win, which is ultimately better for his brand and any products he wants to sell eventually. I mean, he's selling them now. So I thought it was a smart choice. As I said, an embarrassment of riches and surprising. I was very surprised to read from Bill Barnwell this morning on ESPN.com. They were 5th in DVOA, defensive value over average. The Bucs, they were a really good defensive team, like the underlying metrics. Not that it's a perfect stat, but like PER in basketball or WAR in baseball, whatever stat you want to. That by that metric, which is not a kind of discarded metric, it has value. They were actually good defensively. And now you have all these weapons. The real question is, as Molly was talking to Mike, to Greeny earlier in the segment, no risk it, no biscuit, that ain't Tom Brady. On the one hand, you think if Jameis was so bad that Fitzpatrick was like a revelation at times, boy, Brady with these weapons is going to be amazing, except he's been dink or dunk for years now, especially recently, and then even year over year, more dinking and dunking, and now all of a sudden it's going to be taking shots down the field. That said, this was a shrewd move for Brady, who simultaneously has left the cupboard bare for Bill Belichick. He has set himself up to look as good as possible in the divorce.
I want to expand on what Max just said because I agree, and I'll take it a step farther. Anyone who knows me, my old show or my new one, knows that I'm a fan of the Jets. The Patriots are the arch rival, and I've rooted against Tom Brady in literally every game he's ever played. But I respect the hell out of him, and I respect him even more now. Because all of the talk about would he go to South Beach because it's so glamorous and maybe Giselle would be happy there. Would he go to L.A. because he could set up his production company and all of that? He made a football decision, first and foremost. This was by far the best decision that he could make. The reason Tampa's defense is so good, at least in part, is they have an excellent defensive coordinator in Todd Bowles. He was the head coach of the Jets, was not a great head coach, but an excellent defensive coach. They also last year lost 7 games by 1 possession, and in those games, Jameis Winston threw 18 interceptions. If he had just thrown half that many, they probably would have made the playoffs last year.
85 Bears all of a sudden.
You add all of that together, and I'm telling you right now, I give the Buccaneers as good a chance as any team in the NFC to make it to the Super Bowl this year. I still believe the AFC is the varsity and the NFC is the junior varsity. Another reason it was smart for Brady to make the decision that he did. So if they had to go against Baltimore or Kansas City, then I would definitely like the AFC team. So I will not pick them to win the Super Bowl. But right now, if you ask me to pick the best team in the NFC, if Brady is what we think he can be, you cannot make a better choice than Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I just
Well,
don't
let
think
me
that Brady
say
is
this.
what you
I'm
think
glad
he
you
is,
brought
but
something
I
up,
agree with the
Greeny.
points.
I'm glad you brought something up, Greeny, because I have something that I wanted to touch on. I've seen people alluding to this on your shows in various mornings over the last several weeks. I don't want to hear a damn soul talking about how Tom Brady should not have stayed in New England or gone someplace else because you want to avoid Patrick Mahomes or you want to avoid Lamar Jackson or something like that. That is nonsensical to me. It makes no sense. It goes against the very thing that competitive fervor is supposed to represent. I can understand you don't want to go to an inferior team. Like, for example, if some team is moribund and they lose religiously, and you know what, it's a rebuilding or a reclamation project, and you don't want to go there, that's different. But I'm sorry, as an individual, you shouldn't be avoiding individuals when it comes to competition. To beat a man, you got to beat the man. And that's always been my mentality. And so when I hear football players, former football players, showing up, waking us up in the morning, Greeny, talking about, oh my God, when shaking it up, he can't go against Patrick Mahomes, or he can't go against Lamar Jackson. Why would you want that? As far as I'm concerned, those people should be ashamed of themselves.
Yeah,
they know who the
Mahomes
hell they
alone.
are, and that's not something that we should be tolerating. You want to go against the best. Anybody could be the tallest dude in the small man's contest.
Yeah.
All right? You got to want to go up against the Dons out there if you want to be the Don. That's all I'm trying to say.
Stephen A., that may be well and good, but when Michael Jordan or Roy Jones Jr. was in their prime, leave them
You
alone.
gotta want it.
Yeah, that usually applies, but leave them alone.
Well, let me
leave
ask you a
Patrick
question,
Mahomes
Max.
alone. You
Let me
don't
ask
want
you
it.
this. Mac, let me ask you. Let me
Yeah.
ask you this question, Max.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. If Michael Jordan was playing and he got hurt and he couldn't play or whatever, you trying to tell me Kobe or some of the greats, God rest his soul, or others should have preferred that? If Roy Jones Jr. is the best in the world, you trying to tell me you should want to be a champion by not fighting and beating him?
In those
at the
cases,
time?
yeah.
That
Yeah,
doesn't make
sometimes
sense
there's a
to me.
talent around that's just different. Yep.
I super strongly disagree, and we don't have time to get into it. Stephen, I'll just leave you with this, which I say to my kids all the time. Life is hard enough on its own. Don't make it harder than it needs to be. If you can find the path of less or least resistance, find it. If you don't have to go through Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes, don't. The ring will look just as good.
Yeah, well, Brady's got plenty of
And
help now.
on that-
As Stephen A. would say,
On
Molly.
that note,
mentality,
Greedy,
Molly.
yes,
No
Congratulations with
excuses, as Stephen A. would say.
Path of
No
least
excuses.
resistance. I'm so proud. We're talking about
Let me
athletes in
leave
the
you
world of
with
sports,
this.
and that's your
To
mantra,
just put
Greedy.
a bow
I'm
on
so
it.
proud of you. I'm so proud.
Let's not forget, Super Bowl 55 is in Tampa, where Tom will be playing. Greeny, great to see you. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning and see you
tomorrow.
on Get Up at 8 a.m. All right, guys, when we come back, we have the latest news on Kevin Durant and the Nets. What does this mean for the NBA actually returning this season? We have the latest, plus much more on Brady going to Tampa and who could be his replacement in New England. First Take, just getting started. Stay here.